Hi, welcome to This Expat Life. My name is Amanda Maxime, and as a certified coach, I help high-achieving expats find more fulfillment and happiness in their global lives. Because while life abroad is often amazing, it is not only rainbows and butterflies, as all experienced expats know. In This Expat Life, I open up space for all facets of life abroad and what you can do to thrive in it. And to support you in your personal, professional, and geographic life transitions, I share tips, tell relatable stories, and connect with fellow expats. Whether you've just moved abroad or you are a seasoned expat, This Expat Life is your place to find real understanding and to grow from the inside out. Enjoy the show. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of This Expat Life. Today I'm going to be sharing a bit more of like a personal story, a personal decision, but really hoping to inspire you with it. Because for the last couple of weeks, I've been wrestling with a decision where to go to next, especially this fall. It's no secret that I am a little bit stuck in The Hague. And if you listen to one of my previous personal episodes a couple of weeks ago, I shared how I was crying on the plane again. And it wasn't the first time that I was crying and not wanting to go back home. And so a month or two ago, I really felt like, okay, it's time for me to spend some time abroad again for a couple of months. And the world is my oyster. And I have so many options that I was like, what am I going to do? And so in this episode, I want to share a bit more about my decision process. Because if you ever stared at your calendar or at something else, at your life that is in front of you, and you felt frozen, not because you have a lack of options, but because you have too many, you're not alone. I'm also in this situation, and it's a privilege. Let's be very clear about that. And I've been in this situation before as well, where I had several job opportunities or several dreams I wanted to chase, or just different options in front of me or different desires that I had. And it wasn't always easy to choose what is the right thing for me to do right now. So today I wanted to take you behind the scenes to really show you how I go through this decision. Again, hoping to inspire you to make those authentic, fuck yeah decisions yourself as well. And I will take you through 4 pillars that together form the inner clarity system that I have. It's a system that has been developed over time. I have to say I've always had a strong foundation for making fast decisions, big decisions, but I really refined that inner clarity system over time, knowing what works for me, but also what works for my coachees. Because I have a lot of coachees that come to me with the question of, hey, should I stay or should I go? Should I start a family or should I go for a career change first? Because I think I want both things, but I'm not entirely sure. And what should I do first? Should I move back home because I feel guilty with my family? What job opportunity should I accept? What is the right thing to do? They struggle with these questions as well. So today I'm going to open up about this whole process for my particular decision of where to move to quote unquote, because it's only for a couple of months this fall. And I think I have made my decision, which I will share at the very end. So let me just take you back to that time I was on the plane and I really felt, okay, something needs to change in my life because I'm not really happy here in The Hague. I've really given it a chance. I've been here a couple of years and there were times that I enjoyed living here and I still enjoy coming back home to my pretty nice apartment here in The Hague. But I really feel stuck and small here. And I had an epiphany this week, which is such an open door. But I live in front of a primary school. And so as I work from home most of the time, I'm like, 15 hours a day with children's noises. And I hear kids screaming. And when I go out the door to go for a little walk, before I start working or over lunch, I see parents with kids. And so I realized this environment of the nuclear family of kids is really not the vibe I'm looking for right now. And I'm going to dive into that more later on in this episode. But what I really want now is I want ambition. I want to work. And the vibe that I'm finding here in my direct environment is one of easy outfits, waiting for kids to finally come out of school, It's a slow kind of vibe. I don't see anyone in nice outfits heading to the office with a coffee in their hand, So I feel stuck here, and my environment is currently not matching what I want to experience. So it's time for me to change that. Last year, I spent 6 months in Rio. That decision was made after a painful breakup 6 months prior to that. It was something I had always wanted to do, to live for a longer period in Rio. And I kept thinking about it, but there were so many things that kind of kept me in The Hague, and time just passed until that breakup happened. And I realized, okay, I really tried giving it my all in The Hague, but my dad passed away, my mom passed away, my grandma passed away. I had 2 painful breakups. I need a break from The Hague. I need to escape this place for a little bit. And so I did. I had a pretty nice time in Rio. The first 3.5 months were absolutely amazing. But then the last 2.5, I kind of suffered there from the same things, because I wanted ambition and work around me, and I was just finding play and pleasure in that city. So, sorry, long introduction, and I'm sharing this because this is data for me to decide what I want to do next. And so in the last couple of months, I have been feeling this like, okay, I want to move somewhere. I want to spend a couple of months elsewhere. I work remotely, so I'm free as a bird. I can go anywhere. Where do I want to go? And my number one destination, which is the US, is not available to me right now because I don't have the visa. I'm not in the position to apply for a visa that I have got my eyes on. Not yet, anyway. And I realized, okay, that's not an option for me right now. And I had such a hard time coming up with something else because all I wanted to do was go to the US. Like, I've spent so much time in Latin America already, over, I think, nearly 6 years. And I feel like I played that whole game there. And the one thing that I'm really naturally attracted to is the US. And so when that is not possible, I'm like, okay, the world is too small for me. I was talking about that with my family. I was like, I really don't know where to go. Like, what else is possible? So eventually I came up with a few ideas. And I also asked on Instagram for suggestions of my followers. And I got so many replies. So if you were one of them, thank you so much again, because it was really useful for me to do it that way. And I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what I was looking at. And I'll then dive into the first pillar. So my own suggestion was I could go to Mexico because I've heard good things about Mexico City. I know there are lots of American and European expats, digital nomads, whatever, right there right now. It has this corporate vibe that I want. That looks really cool. I thought, yeah, maybe too big a city. I don't like too big cities and too much noise, but for a month or two, that's fine. I also thought about Guadalajara because a friend once mentioned that to me when she heard I really like the desert and like these dry places like in the US, but also in Brasilia. Then I thought of Portugal, Lisbon. I thought of London. I thought of, what else was there? Well, I think that those were the main ones right now. Oh yeah, Buenos Aires. And then a friend suggested to me, he said, Amanda, if you really want to be in the US, but you can't be there, and I can't believe I didn't think of this myself. He said, why don't you go to Canada or perhaps Australia or the UK, where you can find those American vibes a little bit more, where they speak English, where they drive around with their car. I really love places where you drive around with your car. I don't know why. You have the higher buildings, you have that corporate vibe. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So I also added Canada to the list. Australia was on it, London, as I said. And then people on Instagram also suggested Cape Town and Asia. Asia in general. And I was like, okay, be specific, guys. So then I got a few more specific locations. Now, how I make a decision out of all these options is the number one thing that I do, and that's the first pillar of my inner clarity system, is that I clarify what really matters to me. And in this case, what really matters to me is that, one, I feel attracted to the city. There has to be a natural pull towards it. And this is my key principle that I live by. My intuition leads and my logic mind follows and refines. not the other way around. For a lot of people, it is the other way around. And that's fine. It's just good to know what your sequence is, because that helps you to make better decisions as well. Because what happens is that, my intuition tells me one thing, but then my logical mind starts to give me reasons why I shouldn't do it. And if I'm unsure which one I let myself be led by, I could listen a lot more to those more critical thoughts and then ultimately end up making a decision that isn't right for me. So in my case, I know my intuition leads because I've made so many decisions based on my intuition that always turn out to be so good for me, or a lesson learned that I needed, that I have the trust that, okay, I can really rely on my intuition to take the lead here. So that is the number one thing. My intuition needs to feel a calling for it. The second thing is, and that excludes already Asia, and Cape Town, because I really don't feel a calling for those places right now. I've been there, I liked it, but not right now. The second thing that is really important to me now, that I really know of, is that I want it to be some corporate, entrepreneurial, or cosmopolitan vibes. So the 6 months that I spent in Rio, I was really lacking those ambitious vibes around me. I am ambitious. I have big dreams. I want to work hard. I'm in my work era at the moment, and I'm all here for it right now. I'm not ashamed also to say it. And I'm also not finding that, as I said, in The Hague, in my direct environment. And so if I go abroad, I really want it to be a place that has those corporate, entrepreneurial, or cosmopolitan vibes. That's really important to me too. And another thing, and this is where the logical mind comes in, is that it needs to be affordable. Because I have a house here too, I have my costs here. I cannot, go to a really expensive place and add a lot of costs to that. So that would plead for Asia, because Asia is cheap, but my intuition isn't feeling it. So that's already a no for me. And knowing that I let my intuition lead makes it so much easier to say that, no, I'm not going to go there. Canada is then also not an option, because the cities that I was looking at, they seem really expensive. So I'm like, also to hire, rent an Airbnb there, etc. So it's like, unfortunately, that's also a no. Then, of course, there are other things that are important, like I want to be legal there. I want to have the right to work there remotely. So the US is not an option, but Canada is, because they offer a digital nomad visa, just like I did with Rio last year. So that is also important to me. So I clarify what is important to me, and then I have like a short list of choices. So the short list now, let's keep it clear, includes Mexico, Lisbon, and I was also eyeing Rome. I forgot about that one. I was also looking at Rome. But then I realized again, that's probably not where most digital nomads or, entrepreneurial people hang out. And ultimately in this first pillar, when I'm clarifying what really matters to me, is also that I really understand for myself, or determine for myself, what do I want this season of my life to feel like? And again, as I said, for me, it's really about this ambition, and that I feel okay and accepted in it. Because in the Netherlands, when I speak to new people that aren't friends yet or whatever, and I say like, I love working and I often work on the weekends and I have big dreams and I would love to move to the US one day, they're a bit like, I don't know. And I felt the same in Rio. So I want to feel accepted for who I am in this era of my life. So the ambition, corporate vibes are really important to me right now. And it's also how I want to feel in this season. Then the second pillar is that I untangle the noise. So you know this as well. Sometimes you feel a clear pull towards something. You feel like, yes, I'm going to do that. And maybe a day later, or already 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, these inner critical voices come up telling you why you shouldn't do it, listing you all the reasons why it's a bad idea. I remember when I was a diplomat and I had this feeling of like, okay, I already knew I'm going to quit my job at some point. I think I want to start my own company. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. I saw someone who I was following. She had a big fitness blog that was still a thing at that time. This was years ago. And she asked for guest writers. And I had just signed up for the Rio Marathon. That was 4 months later. And I really felt a pull like, oh yeah, I want to write about my journey to Rio and really share about how I run in Brasilia, where I live, because it's so different from running in the Netherlands. They're, different weather, different everything. And so I really felt it's like, yeah, I want to do this. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, oh no, but what will people think? I'm a diplomat, and especially there, it's a very conforming environment where you have to conform to the norm. So right away, my inner critical voice took over and told me like, don't do it, don't do it. I pushed through, I silenced that inner critic with a lot of willpower. I went ahead, I applied, and she picked me, and it was so nice. And I got so many nice responses to these blog posts, which gave me my first confidence boost to really go do this more often and to be more visible. So you know this probably as well, where you feel something like a fuck yeah, and then all of a sudden, oh no, I shouldn't do that. And that noise, you want to untangle that noise and silence that inner critic and really set yourself up for success, for decisions that are truly aligned with what you want deep from the inside. And our inner critic, or fear or shame, we all have those elements within us. Our subconscious mind wants to keep us safe. And the familiar pain, quote unquote pain, is safer than the unfamiliar gain that we can get. So your subconscious mind will always try to keep you where you are simply because that feels safer. And so if you want to make a big decision that changes something about your life, you need to untangle that noise, and you need to work with those parts within yourself to really set yourself up for success. Because if you don't, fear will hold you back, shame will hold you back, the inner critic will hold you back. And this could be a long process. I work on this with my one-on-one coaches sometimes for months. And this whole process also for me, it took me years to get where I am today. Being so visible, being so easy with those big life decisions, sharing openly about them. I wasn't like this at all a couple of years ago. So you want to really do some inner work here, where you can understand, hey, that's just fear holding me back, or that's just shame telling me why I shouldn't do it, or that's the inner critical voice that I have, which is really coming from my dad, because growing up, XYZ. That's the kind of work you want to do here. And the more you can understand yourself on that deep level, the better you can also see, where am I holding myself back? Where am I making decisions perhaps from pressure, time pressure, norms from society kind of pressure, expectations from your family kind of pressure? And where am I really making decisions that are truly aligned with what I want? And how can I also support myself to overcome these inner blocks that I have to making that decision and taking confident action on it? This is such an important pillar, and I think it's the one we all want to avoid. But without it, you're not going to make consistent, big, authentic, fuck yeah decisions that are really, really good for you. With willpower, you can push through it like I did when I signed up for that blog post. But if you really want to do this on a consistent basis, and you really want to live your life in the most authentic way, really using all your potential, you have to work on this pillar. And this isn't always fun. It can be quite painful to realize a few things of where this inner critical voice came from, for example. But it doesn't have to be super hard and super deep, but you do have to do some kind of work on it. And this is also why in the Copilot, my upcoming program helping you to make authentic fuck yeah decisions, is one of these pillars here. So in this pillar, I take you through some really powerful exercises that help you understand yourself much better on a deeper level, so that you can really differentiate between like, okay, that's my inner critic, that's my fear, this is what I really want, etc. So untangle the noise that is going on with you so you can find your authentic voice and make those decisions from there, and also feel so confident that you feel good enough to take action on it, because that's another obstacle we often face. And one very common thing here, by the way, is that a lot of us, especially the high achievers who spend a lot of time in their head and they are used to doing things very well, is that they think, okay, this decision needs to be perfect because it's my next big step. And that is so faulty because it's grounded on this idea that your next step is permanent, that this decision is for forever. And it's not true. Your next decision can simply be just that, a next chapter, but not your destination. If you realize that this decision wasn't for you, you'll simply pivot again. So that's what I had in Rio, where I realized at the end, okay, this wasn't the right place for me right now. So this was a lesson that I learned. And now I'll just pivot again. So that actually sets me up for more success in my next decision, because now I really know what I don't want. So that noise, you want to silence or untangle that noise as well, where if you really believe, okay, the next decision needs to be perfect, you're putting so much pressure on yourself, and it's going to take forever to take the next step because you need to be damn sure about your decision if it's permanent, right? So that is another kind of inner work you want to do, where you learn, hey, my next decision can just be that, a next decision, nothing more than that. And it helps me as well. So I'm picking a destination now, but I also feel, well, if my situation changes in the next 2 months or something happens, good or bad, I'll just make a new decision again. I'm not married to this decision. It's my life. I can do whatever I want and I can change it. Practical things taken into account, obviously. And that also leads me to the third pillar, and that is really that you need to feel to decide. And this is because a lot of us rely a lot on our rational mind to make this decision. We kind of feel we need to justify our decisions. Once we feel we can justify it, then we know it's the right decision. But really, you don't need to justify any decision. Your intuition calling for something, or you just simply wanting something, that's already reason enough to go do it. Because again, this is your life and you don't owe anyone really an explanation, unless you're married and you have kids or there's something else going on for you, obviously. But even then, you are calling to go somewhere, you're calling to change something, or you're calling to choose not A or B, but actually C. That is reason enough to go do it. It is your big, beautiful life and you only get to live it once. So if you feel like you're justifying your choices, then who are you really living it for, right? And in this case, for this pillar, I really want you to feel what goes on for you, because it's hard to see through that noise and the rational arguments that come up if you're not used to it. So in this case, I want you to also go back to your body and really feel, hey, if I think about this decision, what do I feel in my body? So when I was thinking about Asia, I right away felt like, no, it's just, I don't feel any spark really, even though it's affordable and it's international and, I could go to Bangkok perhaps, or there were so many places that would actually meet some of my requirements, but I was like, nah, I just don't feel it. Same with Cape Town. And whereas with Mexico City, I did feel like, I feel something there. I've been feeling that for longer. Also about Guadalajara. Canada was a new one, but even there, I felt this natural curiosity. And when I did some research and I saw some reels on Instagram from people living in Toronto and Vancouver, I was like, I feel something here. I feel a spark igniting. And that to me is always my signal of like, okay, we've got something here. This is worth exploring it further. We often try to think our way to clarity, but the body already has the answers. Actually, something I was just saying recently, again, on Instagram was, your body already knows what your mind is not yet willing to accept, the good and the bad things. So the sleepless nights, if you are in a decision or you're not in a concrete decision right now, but you can't sleep at night, you have headaches, your jaws are very clenched, your body is trying to tell you something. It is trying to tell you that where you are right now, something isn't working for you, so that you need to change something. But it's also for the good stuff, that spark that you feel, the joy that you feel, the relief that you feel. If you made a decision and you feel a lot of relief, or you think about an option and you feel a lot of relief, trust me, that is the right path for you now. So lean into your body to get more answers that really help you make authentic decisions that actually feel good and don't just look good on paper. And there is another element in this pillar that is maybe not so much about the decision making itself, but more about feeling good in the process. So a lot of us feel like, okay, once I have my answers, then I can relax because then I know where I'm going to be. So they think, and that's another faulty thing here, they think that if I have clarity on my future, I can relax in the here and now, because they need that to relax in the here and now. Because right now, a lot of my coachees and the people that I talk to, they are in overthinking mode. They can't sleep at night. They worry about the future. They think through all these scenarios that are possible, which are keeping them up at 2 a.m. And they feel, if I just get some more clarity on my next step, then I can let go of this tight control I keep having on it and relax and be present where I am. But really, you don't need that to feel good in the here and now. And control on your future is such an illusion anyway. We all remember the pandemic, right? We all had plans for 2020. It was going to be my big year. It was going to be my big decade. For everyone, really, I guess. And that all, we could all throw that away. We never have full control over things, over our future. So it's another mistake that we make here. And to feel good in the here and now, you don't need clarity on your future. And how you can achieve the feeling calm and confident and good is simply by being more in your body and doing body work to feel more relaxed. And for me, it's actually really present because I thought I wanted to leave like mid-September, late September. But a few elements have popped in the last couple of weeks where maybe you've seen this on Instagram. I decided in March that I was going to start the procedure to freeze my egg cells. And that was a decision I had been postponing for a year until I finally faced the decision, made the decision in like a couple of days and immediately took action on it. So in May, I was busy with that. And I know I want to do another round. And it may happen at the end of June. But if it doesn't happen, thanks to my travel schedule, it can only happen in October, mid-October. So that means I won't be able to leave probably before the end of October. And I also need to be in Arizona in December. So that leaves me really with just 1 month, unless I go somewhere else after Arizona. And the old me from years ago would be really annoyed with it and would be really anxious because I don't have my future plan and I need to know where I'm going to go. So then I have my escape here, then I have something to look forward to. Then I have clarity. Then I can start taking action. The current me is not like this at all anymore. One, because I don't need an escape. I don't move to really escape. I used to do that. I used to escape from my feelings. And travel and moving abroad was always the ultimate escape for me. Now I know you bring yourself wherever you go, so I'm not even attempting to do that anymore. I really make space for anything that needs to be felt here. But I am realizing that The Hague is not the right environment for me, so I do need to break away from that. But it's not an escape from myself. So one, I can already accept that. And two, I know that I'm going to do something this fall. And how that's going to look, I'm not sure yet. But just the basic idea of I know I'm going to do something is enough for me. Why? Because I've made these decisions before. So I've developed this self-trust that I can rely on my word. If I say I'm going to do it, I will do it. And if I don't, I will probably have a very good reason for it. So I can relax in my self-trust. And therefore, I don't need to hold that tight grip on concrete plans because it's already within me. I know I'm going to do it. And whether it's going to be in September or in November, and whether it's going to be Mexico or, Lisbon or something else, I will figure that out in the next couple of weeks probably, or months. But I don't need to know it now to feel good. So this decision-making process isn't putting any more pressure on me like it used to do. So I can fully relax into it. And people have been asking me, where are you going? When are you going? I'm like, I don't know yet, but I feel fine. I know I'm going to move for a couple months. It might be 6 weeks. It might be 4 months. It might be in Europe. It might be a different continent. It might start in November. It might start in January or September. I don't know yet, but I trust that I will figure it out because I've done it before. And so I can really relax in the here and now and be present where I am. And this is key. I recently started working with a coachee who had been thinking about a career change and starting a family for a year and a half. For a year and a half, she was spinning her wheels. She was going in circles by herself, with her friends, with some family, but she wasn't getting any further. And every day, maybe almost, she was thinking about like, oh, I should really choose something. Oh, I should really do something. And so in that whole process, she wasn't being her full authentic self with full potential, because a part of her headspace went on to thinking about this all the time. And by our fourth session, she had found so much clarity. She made a decision, and yay, everything is working out for her. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to waste your precious time abroad on a decision-making process that takes months and months and takes hours of your sleep every night, and to which you spend precious headspace that you can also use for other things in your life, right? So lean into your body, feel the self-trust, and relax in the here and now, and know that you'll figure it out, because that will help you to really be present where you are. Okay, and then the last pillar is design the way forward. So decide and take action. Let's take those bold moves. And this is my favorite pillar because I love taking action. And I haven't taken action on this decision right now because I don't know when it's gonna all happen. But a lot of us, at some point, they might know what is the right thing for them to do, stay or going, a career change. And sometimes these decisions are being forced upon us, like we need to choose between A or B now, or this job is ending, and the visa is ending, so we also need to make a decision and take action. And also a lot of us wait for that to happen. But very often we're in this messy middle where we feel, okay, where I am now isn't working for me, or I know I want to change, or I know opportunities or decisions are coming up in the future. But yeah, they kind of know, but they don't really take action on it until they need to. And I've really realized in the last couple of years, I really reinvented myself. I went from diplomat to coach and entrepreneur. I lived in different countries. I really realized it's the action, one, that brings the real clarity, like I had with Rio last year. Okay, that wasn't for me. And two, it's the action that makes the concrete change in your life. So you also really want to take action on your decision. In fact, you already want to take action even if you don't know what you're going to decide yet, because taking action on it takes away assumptions you might have that are clouding your view, which are also blocking your decision. So I had a coachee who's also thinking like, okay, should I stay here in Dubai or should I leave? And there was quite a few restrictions and elements that made it a bit more difficult. But we realized in our coach sessions that he was just assuming a lot of things. So I gave him homework to do. Go talk to your spouse. Go talk to your boss. Go find some role models who have done the thing that you're thinking about. Because that kind of action also leads to more clarity, and it will help you make that decision way faster. So in my case, I right away went online, researched digital nomad stuff in Canada when my friend suggested it. I'm going to speak with someone who's made a similar move. I do these kind of things to find more clarity for myself. And the moment I have my dates, I'm also going to book that plane ticket, because then, that's the ultimate action. In my program, the Copilot, I have a really cool way to get into action when you feel unclear, uncertain, or afraid. And so I will speak all about it, but that has been the game changer for me in how I reinvented my life every single time. So these were the 4 pillars that I use for my inner clarity system that help me make fast, aligned, authentic decisions and take confident action on it. So 1 is we clarify what really matters. 2 is we untangle the noise. 3 is we feel to decide and also feel to relax. And the 4th one is we design the way forward. So we decide and we take action on it. And in my program, the Copilot, I will teach you how to nail your own inner clarity system. So I have such cool exercises that I've used with over 160 coachees already, mostly one-on-one with them. I've selected the most powerful, the most popular tools and exercises, and I curated this program that really helps you to make those authentic decisions. And not just for your one decision that is in front of you, but in a way that you really get to know yourself a lot better. And so that you can bring that inner clarity system wherever you go in the future, and that you always have something to rely on. And it will help you make those decisions faster every time. And you will see that you will take more action every time as well, leading to more clarity and really helping you live an expat life that doesn't only look good on paper, but it also feels good. Because you no longer need to spend all your time overthinking your next decision or your uncertain future. And if you're interested, doors open in about a week. So I will put the link in the show notes where you can sign up. And I've got a really nice fast action bonus for the first people that sign up, which includes one-on-one time with me. We're really going to do some strategizing around your next move. So take a look at the show notes if you are interested. Doors are only open for a couple of days, so you really don't want to miss out on this window. Okay, and then of course, what am I going to decide? Where am I going to move to? Well, as I said, the US isn't an option. Canada probably isn't either. Asia isn't an option. Cape Town, I don't want to go. Or Asia, I don't want to go either. Rome, no. So right now, I had 2 left on my short list. And that was Mexico City / Guadalajara. I'm still not quite sure which of the 2 it would be. And the other one was Lisbon. And both had pros and cons. Lisbon was, it's close to home. I could travel back home before I fly to the US. It's a city I really don't know that well. I've been there once for work, but there's an international scene. I always hear good stories about it. I thought, okay, it could be nice. Mexico City or Guadalajara, I've never been to Mexico, so that's a nice thing for me to take off another country. But I also thought if I'm going to cross the US border after that, I don't want to, have more questions on why I'm there. I'm doing everything according to the book, but, in this situation, the political situation, you just don't know. And I was a bit hesitant, am I going to end up in another Rio situation? Maybe I'm a little bit done with Latin America and it will be nice to have something else this time. But if I really tuned into my intuition, I knew already which one of the 2 it was going to be. And I recently had a astrocartography session with someone where you look at your astrology map when you were born and stuff, and apparently it generates a map with lines over the whole world. If you don't believe in this, just skip this part. But I was just curious to know because I kept seeing it on Instagram, and it was so clear. The one line that she said, okay, this is a line that keeps you stuck. It was right on The Hague, not even next to The Hague. The Hague was exactly on that line. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then we looked at it a bit further, and Lisbon was also in that line. So she really said, you shouldn't go there. Don't go there. Now, I'm not taking advice from anyone else. This is not really something that I am taking into account when I make the decision, but it was interesting to hear. And when I heard that, I also felt a bit of relief. And as I told you, that is a sign for me. So I kind of already knew, my intuition is calling for something else. And I think my intuition is calling for North America. And I'm just going to leave that at that. So it's all going to depend on the dates, how long I have, when I will leave, etc. Also, I was thinking if I can only leave in November and it's going to be Lisbon, it's not going to be good weather there. And it's important to me. I forgot to mention that too. I want to have good weather. So I think it's going to be Mexico, but I am opening myself up to opportunities from the universe. So if some amazing opportunity comes up for me to spend some time in Canada, for example, or I don't know, something else, I will pivot and take that. But I think for now, it's going to be Mexico City, I think. Yeah, I think it's going to be Mexico City. But I'll report back and let you know, because as always, I'm an open book and I really want to share what goes on behind the scenes and inside of me when I make these big decisions. And if you have lived in Mexico City, by the way, please let me know and send me your recommendations. Okay, that was it. Again, this episode was much longer than I had anticipated, but I hope you got some use out of it and that you are now seeing how I make these decisions, and that I use my inner clarity system with the 4 pillars to get to a decision that feels really good and that I can back with full confidence to the people around me who are probably going to question this decision. So Let me know what you got out of it. And if you want to join the Copilot, I would love to welcome you inside of the Copilot. Doors are opening on June 19th for just a couple of days, as I said. But I would really love to welcome you there, and maybe also in our one-on-one strategy session if you're one of the first to sign up. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you have any questions about the program, just send me a DM on Instagram, LinkedIn, or send me an email. Okay, have a great day wherever you are. Bye-bye.